Welcome back to South Cobb Live, where real stories, real businesses, and real purpose come to life. And I'm your host, Elise White, emos when the mic's on, and your community host all year long. Today, we have a special guest. This is someone I personally know from our running days over a decade ago. Shout out to Black Girls Run Atlanta. And she's also literally running her own firm with the same grit, grace, and financial presence. So we have the owner, Tarryn Sampson, owner, founder of TS Tax and Accounting Services, based right here in Mableton, Georgia. And around here, she means it when she says, your business is our business. I feel like you got to the point when you do it. That, you know what the point
like
is?
the Uncle Sam,
The
like the
Uncle
Uncle Sam logo.
Your business is our business. So welcome, Tarryn.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate this.
Awesome. I just need to give you some love, some money crunching love. So you're not just
Right,
literally
right.
crunching numbers. You out here building books, brands, and financial confidence with your businesses and your individual clients.
Saving tax dollars.
You're saving lives. Literally. That when you think about what keep you up at night, like taxes.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. I always use the analogy of what's the bird? The ostrich that puts his head in the sand. And clients, they get these IRS letters and they put their head in the sand. I'm like, they see you, okay? You just need to go ahead and open it. You can't hide.
I know.
Your whole entire body is out.
And it's funny because the IRS, they speak in plain English. Like they're using regular words, but I feel like when the clients look at the letter from the IRS, like all of a sudden it looks like
Charlie
gibberish.
Brown.
Yes.
Teacher.
I swear, I've been there. I've been like, wait, what? I can't read. I cannot understand what's happening right now. So that actually brings me to you a little bit. So first off, Tarryn, your caffeine levels right now, we just got off tax season. Like, how are they? What's going on?
Woo! So I will honestly say I'm happy. Right after tax season, one of the organizations where I get my education from, we travel to Cabo, Los Cabos, Mexico, and we take tax classes. Yes, we take real tax classes. All my friends be like, tax class.
That's exactly. A nice
so I got a post to put the proof out there. But yeah, we took some tax classes and had a moment to woosah, and so it was really good. Yeah. So
that's actually
I'm starting
really
to
cool.
mellow a little bit, but
yeah,
my business runs year round, literally. And I'm thankful for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Not complaining.
That's interesting. That's good. That is a blessing. That is a lot of tax accountings. They have their season and then it goes dry.
Yeah.
So that actually brings me to a next question. So what's something that people think tax professionals do all day that's totally off base, like completely gone?
I don't know. Maybe just crunch numbers all day. That's part of what I do. But I do also a lot of research, looking at specific situations. I'm talking to my clients often. So, like, I have a client now. He used to rent a location. Now he has a house outside of his property.
Yeah.
And he's using that now for his business, where he operates his business. So now I'm like, okay, so we have depreciation that we can claim. How much money did you put into it? Did you build it out, or was it and looking at all those things. So when I ask clients questions, and sometimes I think they think I'm digging too much, but I need the background information so I can help you, like your doctor. He wants to put you on this medication, but you don't want to tell him about this issue that you got going on over here. But he needs to know, because the medicines might contradict. Yes. Wow. It's not just plugging in numbers and saying next. It's really getting to understand a person's situation.
Context is everything. And it makes so much sense when you frame it like that. And that is something that I think people don't really take for granted, right? You need to understand that to help them. And sometimes it's a little bit vulnerable to talk about what you got going on financially.
Exactly. That's why I'm never offended. I have plenty of friends that know I do this, but don't utilize my business. And I'm totally fine with it, because it is very private information, personal information. Exactly. And but I those who do come to me, I think they know and trust that I trust and respect, and I don't talk outside of my four walls against
Yeah.
client. I have some celebrity clients that I don't even post about.
Nice.
Them being,
Good.
I let them, if they want to share that they work with me, but I
Mhm.
don't post. I don't even ask. So
Good. Awesome. That's
yeah.
great. And you said another tax buster of what tax professionals do that stuck out to me just now. You talked about the research, right? You go to
Hmm.
your tax professional, they're supposed to have all the answers. All of a sudden, all the laws change. You have no, and you're looking for them to know the answers. But I never
Right.
thought and sat to think
Immediately.
like, you got to research. That takes time out the day.
Especially when something changes. So I've learned something this way for the last 20 years because I've been
Mm,
preparing taxes since 96. And so, for instance, in 2018, with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that changed the whole fabric of what I did. There was no more personal exemptions. The standard deduction increased. They removed a lot of things off the itemized deductions. They put caps. So my brain is still functioning on what I know,
right.
but then we had this major change. So it may take me a little time to do a little bit more research on it. I want to make sure I'm giving you the most up to date information that's going to help your tax situation.
Our business is your business. You just said it
Yes.
right there. That's it. That's cool. That's important and it's
Yeah.
relevant and real. So thank you so much for clarifying those tax
Yeah.
busters right there.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about a client moment that really stuck with you? Something where, you knew your work really made a difference in their financial journey.
Yeah. So I have a friend and I wasn't preparing his taxes, but I've always told him he has a construction business and
Mhm.
real estate. And I was telling him, I was like, you got to get your books in order. And people always feel like I could give estimated numbers. I made 100,000, advertising was 5,000, a lot of round numbers. And I
Mhm.
always tell my clients those are red flags. Not everything is in a round number. So anyway, so he got audited for 2015 and 2016. And this was maybe about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So people think, oh, that year has passed. I'm safe. No, the IRS is
Wow.
slow. And he made good money. He sold some property. So he made a lot of money in those 2 years. The IRS denied all of his expenses, the auditor. And they said for those 2 years, he owed over $600,000.
Ooh, wait, say that again. How much?
Over $600,000, like I can't remember exactly, but it was over
That's closer
600.
to a million than not.
Yeah, we rounded up on
Wow.
that. We rounded
Wow.
up.
No, that's
Right.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I can't, so I was pretty much new with, and when I say new, like I said, I've been preparing taxes since 96, but
Mhm.
I've been doing resolution work since about 2017, 18. And then and that's on the low end. I got my enrolled agent designation in 2020. So that's when I can really represent in front of the IRS. I tell people, they say, oh, what's an enrolled agent? I'll say enrolled agent is to taxes like a CPA is to accounting. Same thing. I had to take a 3-part exam and it's administered by the IRS. That allows me to talk to IRS agents on behalf of my clients. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm also very active in my organizations. I
Yeah.
travel with them and all that. So I have a good relationship with the executive director of National Society of Tax Professionals. And we were actually on a vacation. A group of us went, and while I was standing around waiting, I was like, hey, Nina, can I ask you a question? And so I talked to her about my client's case, which really was the thing that I needed. She told
Wow.
me I needed to explain. So for the IRS, your expenses as a business owner has to be ordinary and necessary. I have a tax office that's less than a mile from my house, but I want to buy a Maserati as a
Yeah.
business. It's
Eh.
girl, why you need a Maserati? Why?
Right.
Why? But I have to prove I can have it if I can make a strong case. So he had a lot of travel expenses. So when I was talking with the auditor, she said, he's a real estate agent. Why does he have over $12,000 in travel? And what I call him my mentor, what she told me, you just got to make the case. And so
Yeah.
in his case, he sold property to some Chinese investors, and they required him to travel to China a number of times before they would do
Wow.
business with him. So he had that. He also had the commissions that he had to pay to them that he wired, that was to a foreign bank, to show proof that he was doing that type of business. We went from 600,000 to $23,000.
Ooh.
She allowed all
Wow.
the.
Did he have
I have
what's
a video
the
on her
Shaq meme
page.
tears? What was happening? What kind of meme tears did he have? Can you help me understand?
He came with a bottle of champagne,
Man,
you know.
what? I mean, he better than me. I'd have had tears, still tears. The still
Right,
tears, and then I would have had a bottle of champagne, like, after, like, I needed to have my moment of tears. That's crazy. That's
right.
amazing. That's
Yeah, yeah,
amazing. And the
yeah.
power of you leaned in, like what you said earlier, you did some research and you leaned into the community, you understood. I'm
Mhm.
hearing overlap, like you talking about you have medical metaphor, you got the law because you got to state your case. I mean, you out here
Right.
changing lives, girl.
Yeah, yeah. And it seems like most recently, another client, his 2019, same thing, but he had a QuickBooks, but he wasn't reconciling it.
Mhm.
And I tell him, I said, you need me to do, and it's always like that. And I love a client that gets burnt, because then they don't fight me, right? Because
Mhm.
when they skate by, they're like, oh, I'm good, I don't need it. And I've been telling him for years, you need to let me do your books. So I did do his taxes that year. I did it off of his QuickBooks. Stuff was all over the place.
Mhm.
But what I did is I tied everything directly to his general ledger account. And but in his case, the auditor didn't want to hear it. He was like, I'm denying it. He denied everything and closed it out. So we actually had to petition tax court. So now, once again, as an enrolled agent, I can I can't go to court with him, and
Mhm.
I can't represent him in court, but I can go with him and assist. So we didn't get to the point where we had to go to court, but we had to deal with the IRS attorney. And
Wow.
so she was like, I want all the bank statements, I want this, that, and the third. And I was like, oh, hold up, you don't need all that. I said, he has a QuickBooks, everything's connected, all the transactions are in there, and I can pull whatever you need. So we're spending hours and late nights trying to get all the receipts, because that's the other thing. They want receipts. They don't want just the transaction, because
Mhm.
they need to see the receipt to see if it was really business use.
Yeah.
So that's why the first auditor denied all the stuff, because he didn't have those records. And so he went to owing 63,000. He was at 63,000. So we went to the talk with the attorney. I gave her some background. He gave background on what he does and how
Mhm.
he does what he does. And so I think what was helpful for her, I took the exact numbers off the GL transactions and put those directly on the return. And so when I gave her the proof of all the GL transactions, I just showed her how the numbers tied. And
Okay.
I think, in my opinion, she was a little green, and I'm
Mhm.
grateful for it. And she allowed
Grateful
all
for
the
green.
expenses.
That's cool.
And so,
Grateful.
yep, so she allowed it. So he went from 63 to 8,000.
8,000.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there were some things
Wow.
like his mileage. One of the things that's very important, I tell my clients, you have to have a tracker. This is
Mhm.
how deep it goes when you get audited. She wanted to see, and it was a little deeper than he can actually prove. So I said, we'll just leave it here. Let's not shake things up and let the other things explode. She wanted to see his calendar showing his appointments to match the mileage on his mileage log. That's how deep it goes.
Wow. Oh, yeah. So you gotta like really go back, and then you gotta go back into time to do all of this.
We just cleared this up this year, February, March of this year. But this was for 2019.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
I don't remember what I did yesterday, let alone all the
5
miles and
years.
whatever for 2019. And subsequently, he has his log, And there's an app that I use that I send to my clients. You say 20%, just have it, and it rolls in the background. You just mark everything. But those are the things that are key and important. I don't need the details to prepare your return, but I tell my clients you need it in the event that you get audited. Because trying to recreate the stuff 3 and 4 years after the fact is crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage my clients to do it real time. Yeah.
It's important. So
Yeah.
you are, outside of the fact, like a superwoman, changing lives and
Let me get my cape.
getting people their money, you getting saving people their money,
Mm-hmm.
showing up for the small businesses that are right in our community. So we're in South Cobb. You have, I'm calling it Mableton, Marietta on lock, in parts of Atlanta. What kind of feedback do you hear from your clients when after they're working with your team?
They are very appreciative. So we started just really honing in on how we do things to make things easier for us, most importantly, and
Yes.
easier for the client. So
Yes.
my assistant, Tanisa, she created like this good format where she'll go through all the documents that they provided us in the previous year and give them a phone call, go through everything. Do you still have this interest from such and such bank or whatever? And let them know this is everything that you had last year, and we'll be looking for this year unless you tell us that you no longer have that thing. There
Yeah.
was one year I did a friend's taxes for the first time. And I always, when it's after the tax season, the IRS gets a wage and income transcript. And your job is to make sure that everything they know about is on your tax return. When she came to me, it was when that was available. She pulled a transcript. She was like, all right, I uploaded everything. And then I looked through it and I said, you had a W 2 from such and such a company. She forgot that she had worked there for 1 month in that
Wow.
tax year. And it was substantial. It wasn't like $500. It was substantial. So she would have gotten a letter CP 2000 when there's a mismatch in what was reported to them versus what's on your return. And they'll recalculate your taxes and then say, hey, you owe us this much. So we started making that practice to make sure that we capture everything on the front end. Because when you get that letter, like we talked about earlier, the ostrich with the head in the ground, you're not going to want to look at it. So let's avoid the letter
Man.
by all means necessary.
Please do. Yes. That's a proactive approach. I like
No,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
Cool. That's good. I'm gonna ask you a little bit more into like your social media kind of
Mhm.
content. So your Instagram, that in how I believe, do you focus mainly on Instagram for socializing
I
or?
do. Yeah.
Awesome. So how has social media helped you really deepen your client relationships and help them build trust with you in real time?
So I know I need to do better on my social media platform, and I'm working on that. But I do simple things like just like my Cabo trip.
Mm-hmm.
I'll post the picture of the course that we're studying and just throw some content out that where you think people aren't looking and people aren't watching. I get many phone calls when, especially when people have problems
Yeah.
or they have a situation that they're not accustomed to. Oh, I just moved and I sold my house, and I see that you get education all the time. Can you help me with this tax year? And so just those little posts where it may not even have a lot of likes on it, but I know
Mm-hmm.
people are seeing it and
Yes.
they're recognizing that I do take my education and I stay on top of the tax laws and what's going on. So,
That's
yeah.
cool. It's funny you say that because a lot of information we get is overloaded and people
Mhm.
filter. But people do remember. They
Yeah.
filter what's happening throughout the day, but then it's like when I need you or if there is something that comes up in conversation that makes me think of you, you having that presence is so important. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then they're like,
Yeah.
oh, let me call Tarryn. Better get Tarryn.
Exactly.
I said earlier, better get Mako. Better get Tarryn. I still got the point. You gotta have the point.
Right. You got a point.
You gonna have a whole rebranding strategy at the end of this thing, girl. I love it. So that brings me to how your next opportunity is gonna be, because I know you don't just file taxes. You said you are in a resolution strategy, and you out here
Yeah.
teaching, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
So give us a glimpse and the kind of education you offer and why that really matters to your clients. This year I did my first Zoom.
Thank you. I correct my clients all the time. Like, first of all, it's not, so thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you. So pre-pandemic, I used to host an event called Wow, Wealth of Wisdom. And I used to do it on Wednesdays. In my office, I had a few of those. Post-pandemic, all of that stopped. And but I've been wanting to get back to it. And
Okay.
I was spinning my wheels trying to make the slides and all the stuff, right? But I'm talking to 10 people separately on the same topic when I could just present once
Right.
and give all the information. So I took the approach of done is better than perfect,
Love it.
and just
Insider. You
see
gotta
me
go.
here cutting up. Right, right,
Anyways.
exactly, exactly. And I said, let me just get it done. My fake IT person, my daughter, she was supposed to record it. It didn't record, so I'm gonna redo it. I did the Zoom, and it was regarding W-4s, W-9s, and 1099s, the importance and how to fill it out. Everybody's always like, why? Because you're not filling out the W-4 correctly. If you're a W-9 person that gets a 1099, there's a certain way that you're supposed to be filling that out. And then for business owners, the importance of getting the W-9s for your subcontractors so that you're able to write it off. And it was without any slides, just me talking. Like, the people who attended was so grateful and thought it was very helpful to them.
You
So,
know what?
and,
That's a
uh-huh.
word. You just said something like you
What
said
I
without
say?
any slides, and the people got so much value out of it because it was important content that they needed to know. You can make things look pretty
Exactly.
until it's blue in the face.
Exactly, right? And so that just prompted me. I'm going to do a series on the 1040 forms, starting with the 1040, going through Schedule B's, A's, C's, the most common one. And I'm going to do a series of those going forward. So people always want to know, how do I save on taxes or whatever? But I think it's important to be educated and understand, because by the time you come to me, the tax year is over, right?
Yeah.
We can't make any changes. There's only limited things that you can do before April 15th. But if you get an understanding of the forms, then you can take that knowledge and apply it to your life. Okay, so Tarryn said that there are residential energy credits. Let me go see about getting these new windows that I can save $600 for doing that. Or add some solar panels that I can get a couple $1,000. So that's the purpose of that.
That's
Yeah.
important. And this is the best time to do it. Post tax season. It's like when you go shopping for Christmas stuff after Christmas. It's like the after
Right.
Christmas sale,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
you're like,
That
you need it
sale.
right now.
Yeah. But let me just wait a couple of days. Let me wait a couple of
Right.
days.
And then
Right.
you gonna have it and you're gonna be ready for the next
Right.
year. Like it's literally the same
Exactly.
concept. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, while we're on the topic, you actually raised a really important point that I'm about to make. So you've been giving nuggets and gems. I'm hearing about the mileage. You was like, you need a tracker. I'm like, oh, let me take some. Yeah, I know I need a tracker, but let me
Yeah.
remember.
I'll
Like,
send you my link. Yeah, my discount link for the app that I use. Yeah.
oh, hey, okay, cool.
Hey.
I like it. So that you've been giving us nuggets this whole episode, which we're super grateful for. But can
Mm-hmm.
you tell us maybe what's like the number one completely missed before it's too late trap that you can avoid? What is something that's a big common tax mistake that you see folks missing and slipping like all the time, and you're like, if you could just, we begin a good place.
So I'm gonna give this. I don't know if it's the best all around, but
Yeah.
one of the things that I see happens with my clients who have college age children, the kids may hear, "Oh, my friend filed his or her taxes and got $1,000 for being in school," and so that's the American Opportunity Tax Credit. So the child will go ahead, file the return themselves, claim their own dependency, and get the little $1,000. But the parent who really takes care of the child all year because the child
Right.
is not making enough money,
Right.
now loses the child tax credit for claiming the child. They lose $2,500 of the American Opportunity Tax Credit because of the income. If it's a single parent, that parent can now no longer claim head of household because the child filed their own return and claimed their own dependency. Right. What I started doing is offering a discounted rate for the dependents return. I don't charge the full amount just so that I can do a comparison all across the board. Does it work better? There's income limitations, so the child may be better claiming it, the
Yeah.
700 that you save, but I do a comparison all around,
Uh-huh.
and then I give it to both of them, give it to the parent and say, okay, if you file, this is it. If the child files and together, this is what it would look like. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I would say I've come across. Also, people switching out their W-4s half the year, claiming 10 or filing exempt, and then half the
Yeah.
year. The
Oh
tax,
yeah.
yeah, that the new tax laws, which actually expire in 25,
Hmm.
so we'll have a new set if they don't choose to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Hmm.
But that philosophy really doesn't work anymore. Claiming exempt and then claiming zero. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I've
really
heard so many people do that. I think, and then especially people who've been employed for decades, right?
Mhm.
That's like tried and true strategies,
Right,
right? Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Thing, just depending, you may also be able to save if you contribute to an IRA. You have up until April 15th or whatever the tax filing deadline is for that year to make a
Hmm.
contribution to a traditional IRA that could possibly save you money, but not always. It all
Yeah.
depends on your income, whether you have a 401k at your job. There's a lot of things, but that's another strategy that you could possibly
That's
use.
a good one. I actually I knew that one. I
Okay.
knew that one. I
Okay.
knew that one. But that was a good one. That's still good. So these are
Okay.
tips and
Yeah.
tricks, and everybody who's listening, you are dropping good nuggets, and they're well-rounded ones. So we
Good.
appreciate
Good.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. So when you think about how far you've come since
Mm,
1996, you gotta say
mm,
it like that. As a
yeah.
business owner and one who has really established yourself as the expert, the authority in all things tax, like, what's been the most meaningful part of building TS Tax and Accounting?
Like I said, I started tax prep in 96. I worked for one of the big companies for about 6 years. And then I moved to part time in the evening for friends, family, and referrals outside of my accounting job. I did that. And then in 2014, I caught a wild hair and left my job of 15 plus years to start something. It wasn't really a tax and accounting business. I
Uh-huh.
just knew I wanted to work with small business owners. And God told me, He was like, "You're going to open TS Tax and Accounting Services." And I was like, why? I was doing accounting on the side and taxes. I was already
Right.
doing that. And so then after a few years with my obedience, then I started to meet business owners, right? And then I said, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
how I'm going to meet the business owners that I want to work with. Duh.
I know you. Ooh, you talking
Duh.
faith. I see. I see.
Right? Because I didn't see it then. And so as I look back on my journey, I've done so many things that I never even imagined. Like companies hire a company that Sage Accounting hired me to speak for them at the Small Business Expo 2 different years.
Wow.
They flew me out to San Diego to be at their conference where they interviewed me and I spoke on different topics. Being
A paid
hired by
speaker. You got paid
Yes,
speaking gigs. That's
yes. I got
awesome.
paid. Yes, yes.
Yes.
All expenses paid. Stuff that I didn't even imagine. I wasn't thinking about that, right? When I started this journey. Being hired at Georgia Pacific to do, you know how companies would do education for their staff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and presented on tax there along with someone else who did financial literacy. Just so many things. And don't get me wrong, like I have a podcast called The Roller Coaster, and it's about the roller coaster ride the roller coaster ride. Oh, I got to put my hand up. You can't see it. No, right there.
We out here.
That
We
we take
Kikiing
as
on South Cobb, girl. But
right,
no,
right. We're gonna have to
seriously.
cut all this foolishness out. But that talks about the roller coaster ride that us as entrepreneurs, the journey that we take, the ups and downs. There are a lot of highs, but there were a lot of lows. There were
Yeah.
times when I didn't know. I was like, what did I do? Wow, really? Didn't know where the next check was coming from. Just all the little things.
Yeah.
And just watching my journey and just the wow of it. And that's why I'm in the process, I might have mentioned it to you, of rebranding because I'm not just tax and accounting. I'm moving into business solutions,
Love it.
right?
Yeah.
Helping other small business owners survive this ride, giving them gems and tools, and of course at a fee because that's how I get paid and that's how I can
I mean,
continue.
it's
But
it's part of life.
yeah,
Right.
it is. And yeah, just watching where this is now taking me to and my obedience and yeah.
That's
Yeah.
super, super inspirational and cool. Kudos for you. Kudos for obedience, all the things. And I'm excited for what's next on your journey for sure. And even you just in reflection mode of, I didn't know where checks was going to come from. And I think
No,
that
really.
fears, that phrase, that whole identity really it creates an instinct of fear, right? Because so
Yeah.
much is baked around your identity and like what you do, and then you're trying to
Yep.
navigate. But now you're at a point, and there's still gonna be those moments,
Oh
right?
no,
But you're right.
exactly.
If
The
you're at,
roller coaster, the highs and the lows don't ever go away, right? So
mhm,
like even right now, I'm pushing myself to go to another level, right? So that also includes additional expenses and I from I'm gonna call it the traumas of going through this journey before and running short financially, but I know I need to do this. I need to stretch myself. I need to extend myself to take myself to the next level. I tell people who come to me that have an idea for a business, and I tell them all the time, you do God a disservice if you do not take the skills that He's given to you to help His people.
that's
That's
it.
what our job is, right? God doesn't like in the Bible. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm not the church holy
Right.
roller, but I do believe in a higher being, right? And I don't take it lightly, the things that have come my way. Yes, we have to take action, but there's a higher power, right? And
Right.
I really, right, truly believe in that. So if God has given you something, even this platform that you have now, Elise, like this right here is awesome. But what if you sat back with the thought in your head? There's
Right.
nobody out here to make South Cobb live. You know what I'm saying? And you've been like, eh.
Right. Oh, you.
So here's
Yes.
your podcast, and you never know. Next year, you may be a featured podcast on a grander level where you got sponsorships and all different types of things going on. Or it might take 5 years. This is 10
Right.
years and for me, going into my 11th year. But it took a long time for me to get on stable ground. And so it's my duty, and right now I'm in a new scary lane because I want to expand, and you're afraid because you're like, I'm gonna put the money out. What's my ROI on it?
All the
What's the
things.
time
Yeah.
frame? Like how long is it gonna take for me to start seeing my ROI? All those things, and I get a little bit of in my stomach still,
Yeah.
but I have to trust and believe. I've always
That's it.
said, for every blind step I took, God laid a stone.
All
For
the
every single
time.
one.
Oh, we
Every
yeah.
single
Yes,
time.
I'm with you. We
Yep.
here, right there,
Yep.
on the money. And you and
Yep.
I have had a personal conversation about that. And so I'm so excited that you're in my life. And
And
so
vice
this is a
versa.
yes, for sure. So
Yeah.
this is a really interesting, it actually speaks into what you're talking about. Just speaking
Hmm.
into others, especially
Yes.
how do you take all that you've experienced, and we're meant to go through these hardships a lot of times so that we can empower
Yes.
the next person, especially the next generation. So what would you
Exactly.
say to someone maybe a young woman thinking about stepping into the tax and financial space, what do you wish someone would have told you?
So, what I would tell someone, and not so much what I, no, I'm going to take that back. When I moved from preparing taxes at my home part time in the evening, and I moved into getting an office, and because I jumped. When I didn't just work at home for a while, when I quit my job, I found a location because it was important for me to be visible in the community. And today I had a new client who he engaged with me a couple of months ago, and with the changes at the IRS, I was having a hard time pulling his transcripts, right? Because he hadn't filed in a number of years and he didn't know where he stood, right? And without pulling his transcripts, I couldn't tell him, I couldn't help him. Then I got busy with tax season, and my assistant today was like, you know what? I think this is going to blow up in our face. I said, okay, reach out to him, let him know what's going on. He stopped by the office, and one of the things that he said was he was getting a little concerned because he paid me some money and he hadn't seen anything. He was getting a little concerned, but the fact that he knows that I have an office, I'm not working out of my home somewhere, gave him a level of comfort. And that is what was always important to me, because there's so many fraudsters in the tax world that I wanted to be known as someone who was a staple in the community, that you could come in my door anytime and ask any questions. So what I wish I would have did in the beginning was a better job in changing my pricing to help me survive better. I lost a lot, and I'm gonna share this, and just being transparent and real. I lost my family home right before COVID. I had to foreclose on my home and displace everybody in my family, and that was one of the hardest things that I went through. And then even when I got back on my feet, I have a nice home in the neighborhood that I wanted to be in. It took me a little while to be happy because I was really sad about that process. But I always have to remind myself, when you're holding on to something, you can't receive. And sometimes God has to pry it out of your hand to open your hand up to receive the next thing.
You got to make room
Yeah,
for it.
you got to make room. Exactly. And one of the things, when I changed my pricing, that was another tough period because I had people exiting. Oh, you're charging how much? And you didn't charge me that much. Shoot, I almost had to close down my business because I wasn't charging. But when those clients who didn't want to follow me, which is totally fine, it opened the door for those new clients. So all they know is the current pricing, and they want to rock with me, and they continue to rock with me. Yep.
Good.
And one of the things that one of my mentors, Lamar Tyler, really helped me a lot joining that, being a part of his boot camp. Something else that I invested in.
Yep.
Didn't know the ROI yet, and it was a pretty ticket.
Yeah.
But I needed to invest in that, and it helped to grow me in so many different ways. But one of the things that he said is you figure out your pricing, and then you add all the things to make it valuable for that person.
He talks about that experience, and that's that.
Yes.
And what you share, y'all are doing is with these comparisons, the a way that you go after your clients, and you make sure that they're set up for success on the front end. You have full court press, like so to speak. We in playoff season, I could speak like that. So we got a full court press going on with making sure that your clients are getting the full experience and value out of their services. Yeah.
Exactly. So, no, I'm not the average tax professional. Like, I have some people who, like a new client, I'm helping doing some tax resolution stuff for him, and he hasn't filed his taxes since 20. I said, okay, I need a copy of that tax return. He got some IRS letters regarding that year, and we hope that he can get the return from his tax preparer. You have a portal, you want to buy a house, you can go straight to your own portal, put on your tax return. You ain't got to hunt me down. I'm not, you trying to get it in June, but I don't open again until January.
You just waiting. You over here literally. I hope they respond. Like,
no.
Good.
And that's why, and then for those reasons, my prices have to reflect that year-round access, that year-round ability to contact me, have a place that you can come ask any questions. Some clients, they do something, they'll bring it tax time, and I'm like, why you ain't calling me before you made this decision? Oh, I ain't think about it. Yes, you did. You just didn't want me to tell you no.
I'm
So
gonna do
now
it
you
and
don't
deal
have
with
to
it
pay the
later.
price.
Yep. You cost to play.
So now the IRS gonna to add penalties and all this extra stuff. Did you really need it? We wanted to. Okay. But yes.
Got you. I think you are a force, and anybody in this surrounding area that you serve in our community, they need to be seeing about you. If not for the filing, but for the business solutions that you're about to kick off when you expand. So I think it's great. So now we are about to end it out, and we do a little South Cobb spotlight sprint. Today I have a remix edition that I'm gonna do for you because we got the music. So I'll throw stop it, Tarryn. Okay, I'm gonna throw out a couple words.
Okay.
And you just have to give me the first thing that comes to mind, and typically help you with. Well, wait, I'm gonna change it though. It's a remix.
Okay.
Okay. Am I Missy Elliott? Yes. So this time it could be a song vibe. It could be a song.
Okay. Okay.
It could be a lyric. It could be a dance move.
All right, break it down. Do the Dougie Fresh.
Right, yes. So I'm gonna do the word, and so you can say something. You can give me a song, a lyric, or a dance move. You got it.
Okay. All right.
First up, receipts.
Oh Lord.
It's relatable content, and man, this is receipts. What you got for me?
Cha-ching!
Bam!
Show me the receipts, son.
Badass.
Yes, I'm from New York. Yes, I'm from
clearly.
New York. Okay.
Oh, are you? I couldn't tell. No. All right, I got you. All right. Refund.
I know it's supposed to be fast, right? I'm an overthinker.
Girl, what's in the back of your head? What's in the back of your brain? The bottom part.
The back of my brain really is saying you ain't supposed to be getting refunds. That means you overpaid in taxes. Okay? Get your money throughout the year. Everybody looking for a big refund.
That sounds like a dance move. So we gonna get you.
Ain't no refunds, son. That's not how we do it.
Yeah. All right.
Look, people, I'm a very serious businesswoman.
Absolutely.
Okay? Don't have a lease making you think I'm silly, okay? I'm a very serious businesswoman.
All right. So the last one we'll do, and you are. We're gonna do this one. It's gonna be booked.
Booked and busy. What?
You got dance moves. It's no music on you. We gonna call, and I don't know if these is aggressive dance moves. You like
booked and busy.
Hey, I'm here for it. You just succeeded in your first South Cobb spotlight sprint. The first time we didn't really use a lot of words, but we did use words, but we used some dance, we used some movement for the experience.
Okay.
And money's supposed to move, so that's perfect. So thank you,
That's
Tarryn,
right. That's
so much for your time today. Where can people find you?
Location-wise, 1400. Yep, 1400 Veterans Memorial Highway, Southeast, not Southwest. Suite 130, right next to the UPS store. On all social media platforms, TS Tax Service ATL. Mostly busy on IG and then flow over to Facebook. That's it. Oh, my website, tstaxservicellc.com. tstaxservicellc.com.
Perfect. Tarryn, it's been a pleasure. You getting us ready, booked and busy, and you about to expand all the things. And South Cobb Live, you heard it first. in this room today, South Cobb Live. You can find us on all podcast platforms, Instagram, YouTube,
You name it.
Facebook, you name it. Yeah, you got all of it. We got you. You name it. So we'll see you back next time. Take care.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Don't go nowhere though.
Okay.